left. And she left in childbirth, so she was birthing, and she managed to get the baby birth, and she went into, she was hemorrhaging, and they couldn't stop the hemorrhaging, but they could save the baby. If they hadn't taken the baby, both mother and baby probably would have passed away, but she managed to birth the baby, and for some reason they couldn't stop the hemorrhaging, and they couldn't get anybody here to help her, so she actually passed away. So this was like a really blood-filled room for a while that they needed to make back into a home. So they actually invited...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Keep going. I see Sue. She's looking for me.
Okay.
Okay.
And I feel like they came back in and actually had a priest come and bless this. And they also had like an Indian healer, medicine man come one day and take her spirit off finally to another place and actually bless the blood. What they had done was they had tried to clean up the mess, and when they couldn't get the mess cleaned up, they got really upset, but they had an Indian come and bless the blood. And it's so interesting because I hear Spirit saying once the blood was blessed for her passage, the blood came up. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And I feel like it happened like right over here for some reason.
She's looking at the bathroom.
That's okay. We had just an interesting thing. Because she passed away here and it was a very messy ordeal, they had a priest come or someone from a church or some religious organization come and bless the house. They couldn't clean the blood up. The blood wouldn't come up. But they had an Indian shaman and healer come later. And when he blessed the blood released itself and they could clean it.
Wow.
Wow, that's really wild. I thought you'd like to hear that. Yeah. Absolutely. But they lived here. The children grew up here and then worked the ranch and married here. But the son didn't like ranching, and so he left. So he left his sister and her husband to run the ranch.
And do we know when this was? Early on?
This was probably around 1908, 1910. I don't feel they did anything with it until later on, but 1908, 1910. And this was a family that had migrated from the Midwest, from Wisconsin. They were real Midwesterners, and they loved it out here. They just absolutely loved it. You know, again, sturdy stock, people who came out with, and so the daughter, who was now the mistress of the house, got married, and she stayed here and ranched. But what happened is that when she gave birth, she had some kind of complications that totally weakened her. And they needed down the road, when her child was probably about 6, 7 years old, they needed to sell this and go by the water. She wasn't doing well by the desert at all. And so they didn't want to stay here and keep this. So they went out west, and it was still time to stake a mining claim. And he was able to find a really neat mine, and they became incredibly wealthy. Incredibly wealthy, and lived in the city of angels, and they were able to have this like wonderful life and do something, you know, with having very simple starts here, both of them. And I feel the daughter married a ranch hand who was here, who had helped her family, and he was very, very industrious and very loving and very kind, but they ended up marrying her.
Interesting.
Really nice story. I see this great big huge like chest of gold. Is that great? Yeah, very spiritual here. Like she got married in here. I know somebody died here, but she got married in here. Children got baptized in here. I also feel that there were a couple of, I feel that a barn got blown down in some kind of terrible windstorm, and they lost all the protection for their animals, and there was a couple of barn raising a new barn. I don't feel like the barn that's here is the original barn. I feel it just got raised by and it looks like it was a dust devil that was even worse with rain and wind and stuff. And it just literally cremated the barn. They didn't lose the animals because they went in and they pulled all the animals out. It reminds me of the Wizard of Oz, you know, and the house just didn't take off. But they had a barn raising here. And there's been lots of hilarity here, lots of fun, lots of music, lots of hilarity here. And you have some really wonderful earth spirits, Indian earth spirits, who walk the property. And they're thrilled that you're here, by the way.
Good, thank you.
And having more people walk on the property. They feel it's very important for generationally for people to walk on the property and leave their imprint. And again, only those people with some kind of an attachment or needing that kind of spiritual attachment will come. So that's like just perfect. You know, you don't need that golden shower head by the gate out in the front to wash everybody off.
Well, I do feel like, for the most part, the right people find their way here. You know, even if it's guests, that very little of people who don't appreciate the place, or you know, that don't get it,
or your energy at this point in time.
So that's rewarding, you know, satisfying to me to have people.
Oh yeah, this is really neat. I could see how you'd be really comfortable here. Just super, super comfortable. Although some days, like, you'd like to give up the child, the place, and everything, and just go have a vacation yourself somewhere. And that's very, very normal. Absolutely normal. And I would hope that you take advantage of those feelings and go do that. You know? Because, well, 5 days away will do it for you.
Yeah.
Because then you start to worry. You can't stay away. You, on a personal level, can't stay away more than 5 days.
Yeah.
But 5 days would do you.
World's good. I'm at that point, believe me.
Are you? Yeah.
Well, it's been, There's
Why
been a
don't
lot going on, and it's been really
Before
busy.
hurricane season starts anywhere by the water, which is like the first week in June, you might be able to, you know, just sneak away for 5 days sometime in May and get yourself around a lot of blue water. You could really handle that. Maybe you want to go to Marlon Brando's island?
Yeah.
Or
I